The Pat McAfee show has never been short on fireworks, but this time it's personal. Viewers were left absolutely speechless when whispers turned into full-blown chaos about how the Jacksonville Jaguars plan to use none other than Travis Hunter. Yes, that Travis Hunter, the two-way phenom who's been making headlines since day one. But behind the scenes, things are not nearly as smooth as the Jaguars want you to believe. Sources close to the situation claim heated arguments have erupted in the locker room, with coaches, players, and even Hunter's own inner circle clashing over his role. Is he destined to be the franchise's offensive savior? Or is the team pushing him into a defensive corner he doesn't want to play in? And if that wasn't enough, fans are divided, friendships are strained, and shocking accusations have already spilled out on air, with Pat himself caught in the middle. The drama is bigger than football. It's personal ambition, pride, and betrayal colliding in real time. By the end of this story, you won't just be asking how the Jaguars will use Travis Hunter. You'll be asking if he'll even survive the fallout. The story began on what should have been a normal morning for Jaguars fans. Pat McAfee was live on air, doing what he always does, cracking jokes, stirring the pot, and pulling in big names for conversation. But when the topic shifted to Travis Hunter, the room changed. It wasn't just about football anymore. Suddenly, tension filled the air, and what came out next left fans questioning everything they thought they knew about the Jaguars' plans. "Listen, man, I don't know what the hell they're doing down there," Pat said, leaning forward with that trademark intensity. One minute they're saying Travis is their future star wideout, the next, I hear rumblings that they're locking him in as a defensive back. And let me tell you, he's not happy about it. The chat exploded. Fans couldn't believe it. The Jaguars had just invested everything in this kid, and now they were already fighting over how to use him. But behind the scenes, according to insiders, the situation was even worse. Travis's family was split right down the middle. His mother, who had always wanted him to shine as an offensive threat, reportedly clashed with his father, who insisted his son's legacy would be on defense. Their arguments spilled into private team meetings, creating awkwardness coaches couldn't ignore. "You're throwing away his chance at greatness," his mom allegedly said, her voice breaking in frustration. "He's a natural with the ball in his hands. The fans want to see him score, not just shut people down." His father fired back, sharp and unrelenting. "You think I don't know my own son? You think I haven't watched every play he's made? He'll be remembered for stopping the biggest names, not chasing touchdowns." This family divide quickly made its way to the locker room, and soon players were whispering about it. Some teammates started taking sides, with wide receivers hyping Travis up as the missing piece for the offense, while defensive veterans quietly pushed for him to bolster their secondary. Emotions ran high, and it was only a matter of time before those emotions boiled over. During a closed practice, according to someone who was there, an argument erupted between offensive coordinator Press Taylor and defensive coordinator Ryan Nielsen. Voices were raised, words were exchanged, and at one point, players claimed Taylor slammed his playbook onto the ground and shouted, "You're wasting him." The defensive coaches weren't about to back down, with Nielsen reportedly yelling back, "You want highlights, I want wins. Pick your poison." By now, the drama had grown too loud to ignore. Pat McAfee, always one to sniff out a story, doubled down on his coverage. "I'm telling you," he said live on his show, "this isn't just about football strategy. This is about egos, about promises made and broken. People close to Travis are pissed. People inside the Jaguars are pissed. It's a damn circus." Down there, fans were shocked, but they were also hooked. Social media became a battlefield of its own. One camp tweeted relentlessly about Travis being the next great offensive star, while the other insisted he belonged on defense. Clips of his college highlights flooded timelines with captions like, "Look what happens when you unleash him," and "This is why you don't mess around with his natural instincts." But the real twist came when Travis himself finally broke his silence in a private group chat that was later leaked. He allegedly wrote, "I just want clarity. I'm tired of being pulled in two directions. I came here to play, not to be used as some experiment." The words spread like wildfire, and suddenly everyone realized this wasn't just a debate between coaches or fans. It was a personal struggle tearing at Travis from every angle. Friends close to him described the toll it was taking. One childhood buddy admitted, "He calls me at night, man, just venting." He says he doesn't even know who to trust anymore. One day the coaches promise him one thing, the next day they flip it. He feels like everyone's got their own agenda and nobody's asking what he really wants. And yet, despite the chaos, the Jaguars organization tried to paint a picture of calm. Official statements insisted everything was fine, that Travis was adjusting well, and that the team had a clear plan for his future. But fans weren't buying it. The leaks, the shouting matches, the emotional toll on his family, it all told. A different story. As the weeks went on, the whispers only grew louder. Some speculated that Travis's agent had stepped in, threatening to renegotiate certain terms if the team didn't commit to an offensive role. Others claimed that big-name veterans on the defensive side of the ball were lobbying the front office, desperate to keep him as part of their unit. Meanwhile, Travis was caught in the middle of it all. At practice, his body language told the story. He'd line up at wide receiver, flash his elite skills, and fans in attendance would cheer. Then, moments later, he'd be shifted back to defense, making plays but looking visibly frustrated. Teammates noticed it. Reporters noticed it. And soon, it became the only thing people could talk about. The climax of part 1 of this unfolding saga came during a live segment on the Pat McAfee show. Pat had secured a call-in from a Jaguars insider who dropped a bombshell. "Look," the voice said, hesitant but firm. "I probably shouldn't even be saying this, but Travis threatened to walk out of camp if they don't figure this out. He's not bluffing. He's that fed up." The studio went silent. Pat leaned back in, his chair eyes wide. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said slowly, "if that's true, we're looking at one of the biggest stories of the season. A player like Travis Hunter ready to walk away because of mismanagement. Unbelievable. This isn't just about football anymore. This is about trust, respect, and the future of an entire franchise." And with that, the stage was set. The Jaguars weren't just juggling schemes and playbooks. They were balancing on the edge of a scandal that could tear apart their locker room, divide their fan base, and possibly even derail their season before it truly began. But as dramatic as part 1 had been, what came next would take the chaos to an entirely new level. The silence after that revelation on Pat McAfee's show didn't just linger in the studio. It spread across the entire football world like wildfire. Sports blogs lit up, talk radio couldn't stop replaying the clip, and social media was drowning in speculation. Was Travis Hunter really on the verge of walking out? Had the Jaguars mishandled their golden prospect so badly that they risked losing him before he even took a meaningful snap? Inside the Jaguars facility, the tension was reaching a breaking point. Sources claimed the head coach called an emergency meeting with the coordinators to calm things down, but what unfolded was anything but calm. One witness described the scene as chaotic, with everyone pointing fingers, blaming each other, and nobody agreeing on a solution. Press Taylor allegedly slammed his hand on the table, shouting, "You brought this kid here with promises. Now we're making him question everything." How do you think that looks to the rest of the league? Ryan Nielsen fired back, his voice cold and sharp. "You don't care about the kid, you care about headlines. I'm not letting this team turn into a highlight reel for your offense. I'm here to win games, not chase likes on social media." The argument spiraled until even players sitting outside the room could hear every word. By the end, nothing was resolved. And when Travis walked in the next morning, he could feel the weight of every eye on him, watching, waiting, wondering if he'd be the one to finally crack. To make matters worse, fans started to show up at practices with signs. Some held up posters reading "Free Travis," while others chanted for him to stick to defense. It wasn't just support anymore, it was pressure, loud and unrelenting, seeping into every corner of his world. A close family friend revealed that Travis's mother had broken down in tears after one practice. "She told me she feels like she's watching her son get pulled apart by everyone who claims to love him, but no one's listening to what he actually wants. She's terrified this could ruin not just his career, but his spirit." And that fear wasn't unfounded. Reports surfaced that Travis skipped a scheduled media availability, something he had never done before. Insiders whispered that he didn't want to face questions about his future because, deep down, he wasn't sure he had an answer. Then came the first major twist, one that shocked even the players in the locker room. During a scrimmage, the quarterback intentionally avoided throwing to Travis when he lined up at wide receiver. Some thought it was strategy, but others saw it as sabotage. Whispers began that certain offensive veterans were jealous of the attention Travis was getting and that they were subtly trying to prove the team didn't need him in that role. A defensive player, furious about what he'd seen, reportedly confronted the quarterback after practice. "You think this is a joke?" he shouted. "You think messing with him helps anybody? You're just adding fuel to the fire." The quarterback allegedly brushed it off, saying maybe he needs to learn he's not the center of the universe. Fans caught wind of the altercation and the internet exploded again. Suddenly, this wasn't just a coaching battle or a family dispute. It was teammates turning on each other, alliances forming and breaking in real time. Emotions ran high and the locker room was left divided. Pat McAfee, smelling blood in the water, poured gasoline on the flames during his next show. "What we're seeing here," he said with a smirk, "isn't just a football team figuring out how to use a player. This is reality TV playing out in pads and helmets, and guess what? Everybody's tuning in," and he wasn't wrong. TV ratings spiked whenever the Jaguars were mentioned. Fans who normally couldn't care less about Jacksonville were suddenly glued to every update. It was drama, it was betrayal, it was family against family, teammate against teammate. It was the kind of story that made you forget you were supposed to be watching sports, but just when people thought they'd seen it all, another bombshell dropped. Travis's agent allegedly reached out to a rival team to explore options. The whispers claimed it was a powerhouse franchise that would gladly make him the centerpiece of their offense. No questions asked. The thought of losing their star prospect to a rival was enough to send the Jaguars front office into full-blown panic behind closed doors. Executives debated drastic moves. One idea floated was offering Travis a revised contract with guarantees about his role. Another, more controversial, was trading away a key veteran to make space for him on offense. The very fact that these conversations were happening proved how dire the situation had become. Travis, however, stayed quiet. He showed up, did his drills, and left without saying a word to reporters. But silence can be louder than words, and his quiet demeanor only fueled speculation. Fans dissected his every move, his every expression, trying to figure out what side of the war he was leaning toward. Meanwhile, his parents' feud reached a boiling point. Insiders claimed his mother refused to attend a family dinner after his father accused her of putting dreams of fame above their son's happiness. Voices were raised, tears were shed, and friends who were present said it felt like the family was fracturing in front of their eyes, and all of this chaos came to a head one fateful evening when Travis himself finally broke his silence on social media. He posted a single, cryptic message. "Sometimes the hardest part of chasing your dream is realizing not everyone wants the same dream for you." Those words, vague yet powerful, sent shockwaves across the football world. Fans debated endlessly about what he meant. Was it directed at the Jaguars? His family? His teammates? Or was it a cry for help from a young man caught in the middle of a storm he never asked for? By the end of part 2, one thing was clear. This saga was no longer just about X's and O's. It was about fractured relationships, clashing egos, and a young star fighting to keep his identity intact in a world that wanted to mold him into something he might not want to be. And as the dust settled, everyone asked the same question. Would Travis Hunter find a way to take control of his future? Or would the Jaguars' internal chaos tear him apart before he ever had the chance? The cryptic post from Travis Hunter wasn't just a message, it was a spark, and the fire it ignited refused to die down. Overnight, hashtags trended worldwide. Fans dissected every word, analysts spun theories on live television, and bloggers wrote think pieces about the deeper meaning of his struggle. Was he hinting at betrayal? Was he confessing a desire to leave the Jaguars? Or was he exposing the fractures within his own circle? The Jaguars tried damage control, releasing yet another carefully worded statement insisting there was no internal conflict and that the team was united behind Travis. But fans weren't buying it. The leaks, the arguments, the sideline altercations, it all screamed dysfunction. And behind the curtain, things were spiraling faster than anyone could manage. One night, during what should have been a routine team dinner, the drama boiled over. Eyewitnesses claimed players sat in cliques, offense on one side, defense on the other, barely acknowledging each other. When Travis walked in, the room fell silent. He sat alone, eyes down, clearly carrying the weight of the entire storm on. His shoulders taut. Then, out of nowhere, a veteran wide receiver stood up and raised his glass. "Here's to the kid," he said loudly, his tone dripping with sarcasm. "May he finally decide what he wants to be when he grows up." Laughter erupted from one side of the room, but others looked away in discomfort. Travis, humiliated, quietly pushed back his chair and walked out. A defensive player followed him outside, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Don't let them get to you, bro," he whispered. "You're bigger than their egos, but if you ever think about leaving, man, just know half of us would walk with you." That kind of loyalty was rare, but it only deepened the divide. The next morning, reporters got wind of the dinner incident, and soon the headlines read, "Locker room turns toxic for Travis Hunter." The narrative was shifting from confusion about his role to outright chaos about whether the Jaguars had lost control of their team. The situation reached an even stranger twist when rumors surfaced that Pat McAfee himself had been contacted by Travis's camp. Insiders claimed they wanted Pat to use his platform to set the record straight about Travis's desires. But Pat, ever the showman, didn't play it straight. Instead, he teased the information live, saying, "Let's just say if I told you what I know, it'd blow this story wide open." Fans were left dangling on every word. The suspense, the secrecy, the drama, it felt less like a football saga and more like a reality show finale. Twitter threads stretched miles long, with fans arguing late into the night about whether Travis is about to demand a trade. But while fans argued, the personal cost was mounting. His mother reportedly stopped answering calls from the Jaguars front office, furious that they were breaking promises to her son. His father, on the other hand, doubled down, telling reporters in a brief, tense encounter, "This team will regret it if they don't play him on defense. Mark my words." The public-family divide was like pouring gasoline on the fire. Fans began taking sides in the family feud itself, with some labeling his mother as chasing fame and others calling his father controlling. The Hunter family, once united in celebrating Travis's rise, was now fractured under the weight of the spotlight. And just when it seemed the story couldn't twist any further, a shocking report emerged. According to a well-placed source, Travis had skipped a scheduled closed-door meeting with the coaching staff. Instead, he was spotted at a local diner sitting alone, staring at his phone for nearly an hour before quietly leaving. The image of the young star, isolated and burdened, went viral, with captions like "Free Travis" and "A kid lost in the system." By this point, even teammates who had stayed silent were forced to pick a side. Some players confronted coaches directly, demanding clarity. One insider quoted a lineman as saying, "This kid is supposed to be our future. Instead, you're tearing him down before he even starts." Others, however, accused Travis of immaturity, grumbling that he needs to shut up and play wherever they put him. The fractured locker room mirrored the fractured fanbase. Debates raged everywhere, at bars, in classrooms, even at church gatherings where fans whispered about the controversy before sermons. Travis Hunter had become more than a football player. He was a symbol of conflict, pride, and misplaced loyalty. As the pressure built, Pat McAfee finally decided to escalate things himself. During a live show, he dropped what he claimed was the truth straight from Travis's camp. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, leaning forward with his trademark grin, "ladies and gentlemen, I've been told directly that Travis wants to play offense. He feels. Lead to, he feels betrayed, and if things don't change soon, he's gone." The reaction was instantaneous. Gasps echoed online, clips of the moment went viral within minutes, and the Jaguars front office was thrown into panic. The team quickly issued a denial, claiming Pat was exaggerating, but fans didn't believe them. To them, Pat was the only one telling it straight. The fallout was brutal. Tickets for upcoming games started selling for outrageous prices, as fans wanted to witness what felt like the unraveling of an empire. Sports shows across networks dedicated entire segments to dissecting Pat's claim. And yet, through all of it, Travis remained silent. No tweets, no interviews, no statements. Just silence. Friends closest to him began to worry. One admitted, "He's shutting everyone out. I don't think people realize how much this is breaking him down. He loves the game, but right now he doesn't love the circus around it." And that's when the whispers of a shocking betrayal began to surface. According to an unnamed insider, someone within the Jaguars organization had deliberately leaked misleading information to the press, hoping to turn public opinion against Travis. The motive? To force him into accepting the defensive role without complaint. When this rumor reached Travis, sources say he was devastated. "How can I trust anyone if the people I play for are the same ones stabbing me in the back?" He allegedly confided to a friend. The betrayal cut deep, and for the first time, those close to him feared he might actually walk away. The Jaguars had gone from nurturing their future star to standing on the brink of losing him entirely. And as the noise grew louder, one chilling question echoed across the football world. Was this saga spiraling toward an explosive ending that no one could have predicted? Because if Part 3 proved anything, it was that this wasn't just about football anymore. It was about loyalty, betrayal, and a young player trying desperately to hold on to his identity, while everyone around him tried to shape it for their own gain. And as night fell over Jacksonville, the storm wasn't slowing down. In fact, the most shocking twists were still to come. The night after the betrayal rumors surfaced, the atmosphere around the Jaguars facility was described as suffocating. Players walked in with their heads down, staff members whispered nervously in hallways, and the front office scrambled to keep control of a narrative that had already slipped through their fingers. The sense was clear, something explosive was coming, and no one could stop it. Then, out of nowhere, Travis Hunter showed up to practice with a different energy. Witnesses said he looked determined, almost defiant. He didn't crack jokes with teammates. He didn't flash the usual smile. Instead, he went through drills with a fire no one had seen before. Lining up at wide receiver, he caught every ball, dusted every defender, and made highlight reel plays that left the entire field silent. Then, without warning, he walked over to the defensive drills and did the exact same thing, shutting down receivers and picking off passes like it was second nature. The message was undeniable. He could dominate anywhere, but he was tired of being treated like a pawn in everyone else's game. After practice, according to insiders, he called a private players-only meeting. Every teammate filed in, unsure of what was about to happen. Travis stood at the front, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "I came here to play ball," he said. "But every day it feels like I'm playing a different game, one about politics, about egos, about lies. I'm not here for that. I'm here to fight with you guys, not against you. So if this team wants me, they better start treating me like I'm part of it, not a prize to fight over." Tears welled up in some players' eyes. Others stood and applauded, but not everyone was convinced. A small group, bitter and defiant, whispered that Travis was making it all about himself. The room was split again, and the fracture in the locker room remained wide open. Outside of the facility, the media circus raged on. Pat McAfee seized the moment, dedicating an entire episode to what he called the Travis Hunter Saga, Chapter 4. He brought on former players, analysts, even fans, all debating what the Jaguars should do. "This kid is bigger than football right now," Pat said. "We're watching the rise of a star and the collapse of a franchise at the same damn time." But the most shocking twist was still to come. Just days later, an anonymous source leaked a recording to the press. It was allegedly audio from a closed-door meeting between Jaguars executives. In the recording, a voice identified as a high-ranking official could be heard saying, "If he doesn't fall in line, we'll bench him. He's replaceable." The fallout was instant. Fans erupted in outrage, calling the Jaguars toxic and demanding accountability. The hashtag #StandWithTravis trended worldwide, with celebrities, former players, and even rival teams chiming in to support him. It was no longer just a sports story. It had become a cultural flashpoint about power, respect, and betrayal. Travis's family, still divided, reacted in raw, emotional ways. His mother publicly posted, "My son deserves better than this circus," while his father doubled down, telling a local reporter, "This is what happens when you chase fame instead of doing what's right." The family feud, once private, was now spilling onto the public stage, leaving fans stunned and heartbroken. As the pressure reached its boiling point, the Jaguars had no choice but to respond. They held a press conference, the head coach flanked by the coordinators, each looking tense and exhausted. "Travis is a valued member of this team," the coach insisted, his voice shaky. "We are committed to his success, and we will find the right balance for his role. but the press wasn't buying it. Reporters grilled them, asking if the leaked audio was real, if players were divided, if Travis was truly considering walking away. The coach dodged every question, his vague answers only fueling the fire further. And then, in the most dramatic twist of all, Travis himself walked into the room unannounced. Cameras flashed, reporters gasped, and the room fell silent. He stepped up to the podium, his expression calm but his eyes burning with emotion. "I didn't ask for any of this," he began. "I came here to play, to give everything I've got this game in this city." But somewhere along the way, it stopped being about football. It became about power, control, and agendas. "I'm not here for that. I'm here because I love this game. So here's the truth. I'll play wherever. This team needs me. Offense, defense, special teams, I don't care. But if I'm not respected, if I'm not treated like a man and a teammate, then maybe this isn't the place for me." The words hung in the air like a thunderclap. Some called it brave. Others called it a veiled ultimatum. But everyone agreed. It was the moment that defined the entire saga. Afterward, fans flooded social media with messages of support, praising his honesty and strength. Teammates who had doubted him began to rally behind him, realizing he wasn't fighting for glory, he was fighting for respect. The fractured locker room began to heal, if only slightly, as players slowly came to terms with the chaos they had been living through, yet questions remained. Could the Jaguars truly rebuild the trust they had shattered? Could Travis's family find peace after weeks of public feuding? And most importantly, would the young stars stay in Jacksonville, or would he take his talents to a team that promised him clarity and respect? Part 4 closed not with a resolution, but with a cliffhanger. Because while Travis Hunter had spoken his truth, the storm surrounding him was far from over. And fans, glued to every twist and turn, knew one thing for certain: whatever happened next would change the course of his career, and maybe even the Jaguars franchise forever. And so here we are, standing at the end of one of the wildest sagas the football world has ever seen. The Jaguars thought they were simply adding a generational talent, but instead, they unlocked a storm of family drama, locker room divides, coaching clashes, and public betrayal that has everyone talking. Fans are still stunned, analysts are still dissecting, and the entire league is watching with wide eyes, wondering what Travis Hunter's next move will be. Will he stay loyal to the Jaguars and fight through the chaos? Will he demand a fresh start with a new franchise that promises him clarity? Or will the crushing weight of this scandal push him to step away altogether, leaving fans heartbroken and forever asking what could have been? The questions remain unanswered, and the silence from behind closed doors is almost as loud as the questions remain unanswered. And the silence from behind closed doors is almost as loud as the drama itself. But one thing is undeniable: this story is bigger than the game. It's about pride, it's about betrayal, and it's about a young man trying to find his place in a world that wants to mold him into something he may not want to be. And until we get the final chapter, the football community will remain divided, emotional, and hooked on every update. Now we want to hear from you. Do you think the Jaguars are handling Travis Hunter the right way, or are they destroying their own future? Should Travis stick it out, or would you like to see him shine somewhere else? Drop your thoughts down in the comments, because we'll be reading every single one. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed this deep dive, subscribe so you never miss the next twist in this unfolding saga, and share this video with friends who love drama as much as you do. Because if there's one thing certain, it's that this story is far from over.